It's time to get your property news, tips and tricks from a different pro every week. I'm Todd Sloan.
And I'm Jack Gibson.
And you're listening to Pizza and Property. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Pizza and Property. We're your hosts, Todd Sloan.
And I'm Jack Gibson.
Jack, have you been keeping solitary? Solitary? Or is it sanitary? Or is it both?
It's both at the moment.
Solitary and sanitary.
Yeah.
Have you been doing both of those things?
As much as I can. Obviously, valuing's been deemed an essential service, so we're out and about.
Excellent.
Keeping the economy running.
Yep. I think we're an essential as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like to think I'm essential anyway, but...
How's your week been, though? How are you finding the whole coronavirus?
A million private inspectors. Well, not a million. Yeah. I might exaggerate. Actually, I heard something funny from one of my colleagues this morning in a Zoom meeting. He's like, I've told you once, I've told you a million times. Don't exaggerate. Oh, I love Sean. You get it? Because you haven't actually told him a million times. You're exaggerating.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. But I'm just finding that I'm doing so many private inspections, like because we can't have opens.
Yeah.
So it's just huge, man. But the big thing that actually had us a bit of a win was one of my tenants in a property actually ended up cancelling the lease and was like basically breaking lease.
Yep.
So not cancelling it, breaking it. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. This is the start of it all now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, all right, well, I'll go and take the opportunity to do a couple little bits of maintenance on them.
Yep.
Went up there for the day because I just finished the other one. Oh, which actually, yeah, I should be cheering talking about that.
Yeah.
Just finished the other property.
Yeah, definitely. And
anyway,
had it vowed. Looks good.
Had it vowed. Yes.
Yep.
Gone through all that process. Looking good. Actually, I got to start making that video. But back onto the subject. Went up there, did a couple of bits and pieces, and then I just got so lucky. The next door neighbours, who when I was renovating that property, they just basically walked over and was like, "Hey, Todd, one of our best friends actually wants to move up here. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Tell me a little bit more, blah, blah, blah."
Yep.
Put her in contact with the property manager. She walks in and she's like, "Oh, this is so nostalgic. It didn't used to look like this." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, I used to live here about 10 years ago."
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm like, really?
I thought I knew this story, but
no,
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't think that was actually a thing either, because like when they told me about it, it wasn't like, "Oh, she used to live here."
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went through all the channels. I said, "Look, I can't manage it because if something goes wrong and you want to give me a call to fix it, it's not happening." So like we have to do property management as much as you sound lovely, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
She passed with flying colours, all of her references checked out, and she's moving in, I think, on the first. So we've actually got no turnover because the other guys are still paying their lease as much as they broke it.
Yep.
Apparently they're doing the right thing. For how long that stays, don't know. But right now it's looking like it's actually going to get a fingers crossed good long-term tenant in there.
It's a good outcome.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for any better.
Yeah, pretty much, man. How'd you go with yours? Because didn't you have a few hiccups on your tenant side of things as well?
So I had an email from the property manager. The tenants in one of mine, both have, one of them's lost a contract at work and the other's been cut back. So they're, applying for, I believe it's JobKeeper, because they're currently employed. So I assume that they'll be eligible for that.
Yeah, okay.
So they can't pay rent for this fortnight, they've said, which is a bit of a bugger. But hopefully when this JobKeeper thing kicks in, they'll be back on top of it. And I guess I've got to wait till then to find out. But
well, I was actually talking to Ben about you just yesterday.
Yep.
Actually, it was like Ben from Fenton's Conveyancing.
Yep.
And he's always up on this kind of stuff, and just ran the whole scenario past him. And he basically said, look, as far as he's aware, that legislation of you can't actually evict a tenant hasn't actually passed yet.
Yeah.
But the process in which that you need to go through to evict a tenant, all of the facilities are actually closed. So you can't actually do it. So it's not that legally you can't do it. It's you actually just can't do it at this point in time.
Wow.
So again, and he did say like, don't hold me on it because things are changing so rapidly. But that was the last he heard on it.
We'll try and get Prue Muirhead on. She doesn't know about this yet, but
Prue, if you're listening, can give us a call. You're coming back on. We need your input on this one.
So Prue is a property manager and a property investor, and she's got to be all over this. So we're going to try and get her on next week just to kind of run through. There's a lot of grey areas around. Can you kick your tenants out? I mean, not that that's the best thing to do, but are you legally allowed to?
We don't want to kick tenants out. I mean, it's not about like just being the big bad landlord, but it's about basically the best way to help a charity as well sometimes is by not needing them to help you. And if all of a sudden landlords don't get their rent, I don't even like that term landlord. It just makes me think of someone with like a furry crown and a scepter and like in like ancient time. Like it's ridiculous. All right. It's property investors as much as we've got landlords. I'm doing air quotation marks right now. Most property investors and landlords are mums and dads in their 30s to 60s that are just sort of getting
just scraping by.
Yeah, exactly. It's not this whole rich fat cat sort of with all this cash.
Yeah. And it's like you gave good advice. So when I spoke to you about it, you said, like, what I'd do is go around there and make yourself a person, not a landlord.
Yeah, and just on that as well, make sure that you do go through the proper channels. You can't just rock up at your tenant's house as well. Like Jack and I have already spoken about the right ways to do this.
Yeah.
But making sure that they see that you're a human, because humanizing yourself is going to make such a difference in this sort of environment right now.
Takes away, because right now they're kind of just looking at you like they don't know who you are. You don't have a face.
And it works in reverse as well, because that instant kind of, we'll just kick him out. That kind of mentality. I mean, I had the exact same thing. When I'm hearing about this kind of stuff, it's like, that's gone. But try rocking up and actually seeing a human being down on their luck, just lost their job. Like, this is a time we've got to come together and really make something that works for everyone. And if ScoMo is going to do it, I mean, awesome. But if it's not going to happen from the government, let's all be reasonable about this.
And like, I'm also like, I've just refinanced as well, and rates are extremely good at the moment. So there is a little bit of give or take in that I can give them a reduction in their rent for a period of time or something. So it's about sitting down at the table and coming to an agreement, I think. But
absolutely,
yeah. Anyway,
speaking of nothing to do with what we're talking about.
So today on the podcast, we have Uwe Jacobs. He is a property strategist with Property Friends. Very knowledgeable guy.
And a fun guy as well.
A bit of a character.
Absolutely.
He's got a good sense of humor, good personality. So, let's jump into it.
Actually, let's just jump straight into it. Now, is he on the line now?
He is.
Fantastic. Isn't that good that we've just always got them timed on the line?
Uwe, you there?
Uwe, how are you?
Hey, Todd and Jack, I'm well, thank you. And yourselves?
Yeah, very good. Good.
It's been an interesting week. Well, couple of
That's
weeks.
the understatement of a decade.
Yeah. It really is, possibly even of a century right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and so how you been keeping? You keeping your head screwed on pretty tightly during all of this stuff? Because I know there's a bit of craziness going on.
Well, what's the old saying? Blessed be the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape.
I like that. That's good.
And I'll give you straight away another one. That is Warren Buffett, I believe. When others are fearful, be greedy. When others are greedy, be fearful. Yep. This is a time to keep a level head. Mm-hmm. Keep the emotion out of it, just like we do in investments. Mm-hmm. And sit back. The sky ain't gonna fall down. Yes, there's gonna be challenges left, right, and center. But life, as we know it on the earth, will continue.
I couldn't agree more. And I've noticed Jack's just nodding his head as well. It's just one of those things that it might be tough for a bit. We're going to go through a few changes, but otherwise we'll look back on this exactly the same way we've looked back on every other kind of disaster and anything else. And it's going to keep going.
Yeah, and you know what? I see lots of silver lining.
I can imagine there's going to be lots of people looking back even 5 years from now saying, I should have bought property then.
Mm.
Yeah, not only that, I go even further than that. I see a reset in many ways. There is, of course, the economical reset, where industry learns to do things different. And I also see a reset in the humanity side, in the people side of things. We're learning new skills. For example, I have a daughter that works in the city. She travels an hour and a half one way. So she spends 16 hours a week in the car. Yep. Now, after 10 weeks working from home, I bet my bottom dollar all the challenges have been ironed out. And let's assume this is over after 3 months, 13 weeks. And her employer is going to say, well, everything is good now. You can come back into the city. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to tell you what she told me her response is. Let's say she will phrase it up a bit more comfortable and say words to the effect of, dear employer, I'm saving 15 hours and $150 as self-declared a week by not coming into the city. How about if we do a trade? I give you 2 hours and I come in 1 day a week. and I have gained 13 hours.
Yeah, makes sense. Even on the flip side as well, from the employer's point of view, saving, if they didn't have to lease office space, that would save them a phenomenal amount of money. I can imagine there's going to be a lot of businesses that are rethinking the way that they lease space.
My hot desking was the buzzword 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
We are now living it.
Yeah.
I reckon there is 30% of office space is no longer required.
Yeah.
And on that sort of things, technology is also being driven now, to some people forced upon us. I mean, have a look at the real estate industry. Auctions online. 3 weeks ago, everybody would have said, you want to do what? You're crazy. Now we're doing it.
It's happening. I'm even doing virtual walkthroughs with people as well. This is stuff that I only ever used to do with interstate buyers. Like if I had someone that was in, 2,000-3,000 kilometers away and couldn't physically get there for an open inspection, I'd walk them through via FaceTime. And now it's just becoming more of a normal thing.
Correct. Look, I was in Townsville. I was scheduled to be there for a full week. We're doing deals up there. And on Monday that week, I was having discussions with friends in Germany. And in my view, Europe is 2 to 3 weeks ahead of us. So I said, I'm going to pull the plug. Now, subsequent to that, I had to drag the builder kicking and screaming in front of a video conference, not used to it. And now he goes, Mike, this is great. Why didn't we do that before? Why did you fly 2,500 kilometers?
No, exactly. Well, and actually on that, Jack, why don't we jump into the first questions? Because, I mean, realistically, this whole interview, we had different plans. We wanted to talk to you about all sorts of other property-related stuff, but this probably is going to be hijacked by coronavirus. But I think we've got someone on the line that we're really looking forward to picking your brain around how this may actually change the property landscape moving forward. So if you could, do you want to jump into it, Jack? What do you reckon?
We've kind of touched on this one already, but we might just get you to answer, how do you feel the coronavirus is going to impact the Australian property market on a broad scale? I know there's lots of specific markets.
Sure. Look, it's going to scare, and it is scaring the living daylights out of the ones that don't have a defined strategy and that are from their mindset of Chicken Little mindset.
Okay.
To a number of people, the sky will fall down. And look, of course there's going to be job losses, and we're experiencing that already. Of course there are going to be tenants that can't pay their rent. Of course property prices will come under pressure. And in uncertain times, personally, if I sit back, let's do that. Let's sit back, let's look calmly at this situation. I would rather be in an asset class like property, which on Maslow's hierarchy of needs is on the second level, rather than being in shares. And we all know what they've done in the last 6 weeks, 30% down. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a place to live in. So when I look at asset class, that's where I want to be. People will pay everything lighter rather than their rent, because they need a roof over their head.
So your view on this, by the sounds of things, is even if there is short-term volatility, long-term, because of the actual need around the asset of property, even if you take its profitability and the actual investment side of it away, just as basic human needs, that's not going to change, no matter what changes economically.
You always need somewhere to live.
Correct.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Correct. Will houses during and after this, will people during and after this event need a place to live?
Yes, of course.
Anybody that says no is on a different planet than I am.
Absolutely. You know what I was just thinking, though, building on what we originally talked about, like just at the very, very start here altogether, is if people are going to start working from home more, I know that we've already got some of our agents, well, actually all of us, we're all working from home. So all of our agents are working at home now. And I know that some of them are having a few issues around, like with family and kids and all that kind of stuff being at home. I wonder if this is actually going to see more of a birth of the home office just becoming a normal staple as well. Like if that's then going to change the way we actually build homes in the future. Do you know what I mean?
No question. The home office will become a focal point of the house. We don't do houses without a study nook, or usually the fourth bedroom is the junk room and or the study/home office. I bet my bottom dollar Look, it's all about habits. Let's assume that this continues for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Habits are formed over a period of, say, 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
When we are forced to work from home, we will set ourselves up properly.
Yeah.
I've got my office, my second office at home. I've got a corporate office. Yes, I prefer to work from home. My daughter is now forced to work from home, and she's working off our lounge room table. Now, I bet my bottom dollar in 2 or 3 weeks, we're all going to be tearing our hair out, and we're going to find a different solution.
Mm.
So the home office is going to become a focal point.
Yeah, it's interesting times that we're at, isn't it? It's, unprecedented.
Sure.
I'm in my own little world now. I'm picturing like a 20-foot shipping container being decked out as a home office, and to being able to like drop these into people's backyards with a crane, and like how you could cost effectively. My mind's straight away gone into like, how could this work, entrepreneur mode? But
mini houses.
Yeah, mini house. Like there's gonna be something. It's just like anything. It's laughable before it's not laughable. It's how it's gonna work.
You can look if you wanna make a quick buck. Get reasonably conditioned caravan, rip the bed out,
office on
convert it into a small office, and you can rent out the mobile boardroom or the mobile office.
Oh, lol.
Well, it's all about lateral thinking here.
I know we're laughing and this is funny, but I can't help but think we're probably going to see it in the next few weeks. You're probably right there.
Absolutely. And what you need is connectivity to the internet and to the phone. And that is struggling at the moment, as we have all experienced, I dare say. But as long as you have access to the phone and the internet, Bob's your uncle. Our business is set up that way. You know, I've been operating off the internet for 15 years.
Yeah, well, and it really is about how we're set up and how we're getting set up for the future as well. I mean, not just like personally on a smaller level, but also on that larger economic level. And it might be too soon to tell, but how do you see the government stimulus package actually impacting the economy moving forward into the second half of 2020?
Whoa, let me polish my crystal ball. Hang on. It's not quite clear yet. I need to polish a bit more. Man, that's a question and a half.
There's so many moving components, isn't there? And it's constantly changing.
Correct. That's the first thing that we all need to appreciate. This thing has hit us like a ball of lightning, and nobody had the answer. So people are working on it, and to be honest, I don't want to go political, but I think the guys are not doing too bad of a job. So, having said that, the first announcements have been made. I believe this afternoon or this evening, further legislation is going to come out. We have seen this afternoon the draft proposal come out for the commercial tenancies. You know, of course, there is intense statements first, like ScoMo said, we will have everybody doing the right thing, the banks, the tenants, and the landlords.
That was a good impersonation.
What does that mean? You know, of course, people have to sit down, think about it, work it out, and there will be guidelines, there will be legislation that will come out. Now, that takes a little while, and that is creating uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Now, everybody handles that differently. We did briefing sessions for our champion team, for our people, and I think that's the best that you can do is you provide the best information that you have available at the time to settle the uncertainty as much as you can. Now, then we go back to what's your strategy? If my strategy is to make property investment as a very secure asset class, dare I say it's safe as houses, wink, wink, then I have to take a 10, 15-year window of opportunity. Yeah. Now, I dare say let's challenge it a bit. In 6 weeks, we will hear very little in the media about Corona or COVID-19. Just like 6 weeks after the fires, there was little of news coverage on it. Yeah. Because it's old news, it's old hat. News looks for the hot flash in the pan and for the negative. Well, I don't prescribe to that. I can see lots and lots of positives in this whole thing. And, that's a mindset. What do you focus on, the half glass empty or the half glass full? Well, why not take a full glass?
Yeah, it's so hard watching. I had to give myself a social media break. It was about a week ago. I deregistered my Facebook account and I was just getting too depressed. I'll watch ScoMo's announcements, but anything other than that, I kind of try to shy away from. It's just too depressing.
I agree, same.
We take the news in the morning and in the evening.
Yep.
And other than that, I switch it off too, because you get bogged down, your mind goes into the gutter. Yeah. The only thing, when we talk about the macro view on this whole thing, the only thing that worries me is how much money is thrown at this. Printing money to this extent is very high inflationary. Now, for us as property investors, that's going to be good. Yabba dabba do. Inflation is good for property investing, because it means ultimately that the asset value goes up. Now, again, I can be a Chicken Little. I personally have experienced 18.5% low start loan where the real interest rate was 25% back in 89, 90, 91. And I hear the young'uns say to me, that doesn't work. Well, we did it, so there is always a way. You got to focus on the outcome.
Can I just ask, having lived through that and experienced those high interest rates, when you're looking at building a portfolio in this current environment, are you, in the back of your mind, do you always have kind of factoring that in, that rates could increase at some point in time and you'd like a substantial yield on the properties that you are buying to kind of offset that?
Safeguard it.
Yeah.
Good question, because you've actually lived it, where to us that's just this wow, that happened one day. Yeah.
Great question. That again goes back to strategy. So if we talk about our strategy, and by the way, guys, I want to compliment you on the podcast. I love the diversity of people that you've got on the line. I've been property investing full time for 17 years, and I'm learning heaps and heaps and heaps. I've sent one of these podcasts about the boarding houses to a friend in England, so this is good. Awesome. So it all goes back to strategy. So our strategy is find an area where the investment pays for itself completely. So under calculatory 100% finance and all cost in, and no BS figures or something like that. Oh, you don't need to calculate the 20% deposit because that's your cash. BS. BS stands for belief system. I have a different belief system. So it needs to carry itself to 100%. And then once it does that, we look for the biggest growth. I call the rental income the short-term money and the capital growth the long-term money. The short-term money you need to have to survive. I see too many people killed on daily negative gearing. People that need to take $200, $300, $500 of their after-tax income out of their pocket, and there ain't nothing left to live. But the big money is made, in my books, everybody is entitled to their opinion, the big money is made on capital gains. So I want an asset in an area where it pays for itself, but I want the biggest bang for my buck, which is capital gain. And there's, in my view, and again, that's just my theory, a seesaw effect. When you go too strongly for one or the other, you suffer in the end result. And I can prove that.
I like it because it's not a one strategy fits all, or a one side of it is the right side. It's about balancing both together to get something that's going to give you the best chance of really reaching that outcome long term.
Yeah, because you need to be able, let's take the example of Sydney. 7 years, no capital growth, right? Okay, the next 3 it did 70% plus. Beautiful. Now, how would you like to be in a situation where you have 500 to, some people were paying $1,000 negative gearing. So you take $500 out of your pocket every month, out of your after-tax money, and you pay it for the privilege of hoping there will be capital gain. I have a better half, and she would say to me after 3, 4 years, how crazy are you? When is this capital gain going to come? And I'm going to go, darling, trust me, it'll come. So I pay for another 3 years. By that time, I'm sleeping in the doghouse.
Yeah, well, especially $500 a week. I mean, we're talking $25,000 a year. If you've done that for 4 years, there's already $100,000 that's disappeared.
Exactly. Now, but what happens to your lifestyle? And my view, and again, just my view, your subconscious after the latest 3-4 years, if you're really strong, goes, Mike, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to survive a period of 7 years, as in the case of Sydney, takes, I'm going to use a technical term, big kahunas.
I think,
and
you're right.
You know, then you have to sit there, and wouldn't you kick yourself in the butt if 2 weeks before the 70% period starts, where the capital growth comes, your subconscious, your wife, your well-meaning friends at the barbecue say, Mike, there is no capital gain. Sell. And you sell, and then promptly 3 years after, it goes up 70%. I don't play that game. I want balance.
Is that your view then as well? Like, are you like get in for 5 years, 10 years, get out? Or are you a get in, that's it? Or there is no out, I'm keeping this asset for 30, 40, 50 years, I'm giving it to the kids?
We have strategically a 10-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
And as property friends, I have very little interest in flogging you a property.
Okay.
Yes, we all start with one, but really our system is built to a minimum of 3 properties.
Okay.
You know, we really look at providing solutions for people aspiring to financial independence. Some people want to have choices in their retirement, and some people, like myself, want to leave a legacy. So yes, the longer time frame you take at this, the better is your decision going to be, because you take the spikes and the troughs out of the market, out of your thinking. And that is exactly where we are now. In 5 years' time, we're going to say, yeah, there was this event. Look at SARS. Look at 9/11.
Yeah, it's just a blip on the radar, isn't it, really, when you look back?
I don't know. I want to sort of play devil's advocate a little bit here, but because comparing us to SARS is probably a bit unfair. Like, because I mean, SARS killed something like 800 people and infected 8, I think it was actually 8,000. So its death rate was huge. It was something like 10%. Whereas I think we're up to 1 million cases now over.
Sure.
I don't even. It's growing exponentially. Just the US alone has something like 300,000. Like, I think this is going to be felt again. And I hope I'm wrong, but I think this is going to be felt more than SARS was. But I completely agree with the fact that it's still not going to last forever. Just because we've got our doom and gloom hats on now doesn't mean they're stitched to our heads.
Yeah. Look, if we as a country do the right thing, and the buzzword is flattening the curve, it's all about keeping the spike out of the hospital system, because that would mean a collapse of the hospital
Completely
system.
agree.
We've seen that in Spain, we've seen it in Italy, and we will see it in the US. No question. It ain't rocket science, and I guess I've got the advantage of talking to people in Europe that are 2-3 weeks ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think we're doing reasonably well as a country. I would have liked to see further measures, but that's, again, political, and I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Well, how do you see like best opportunities at the moment? How do you see people really utilizing the whole lemons to lemonade and actually really capitalizing on the current property market? What's your view moving forward in that sense?
Okay. So again, I'm a systems guy. It goes back to strategy. What's my strategy? So if my strategy is, let's say for argument's sake, I want a property at the current interest rates that delivers me 5% in rental yield.
Yep.
Right? Would you agree that will cover all costs?
With the current interest rates, actually probably just about would. When interest rates go back to historical averages, no. But yeah, currently just about.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So now I've got an asset that carries itself. So that means I can go about my life in my normal way, and there's no influence on what I do day to day.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can sit and relax, and heck, worst case scenario, wait for the 7 years in the Sydney example, and get the 3 years after of 70% growth. But I don't kill myself on lifestyle. So if I take that example, I can set up a portfolio and really, forgive me for saying that way. Everybody does different. We're all legends in our own mind, and I'm one of them. That's okay.
Okay.
You know, most people start off with the wrong premise. The premise has to be, where's my client at? That's where 80% already fall over because they don't know where they're at. So, you know, what's your profit and loss looking like? What's your balance sheet looking like? And I don't use those words normally. I say, what's your income versus your expenses? What do you owe versus you own? Then we can derive a cash flow. Why do I know that? Because I was the same. We always, in February every year, we fell into a big hole. Why is that? Because all the recurring annual expenses were due.
Yeah.
So you got to start at, where are you at? Then the big question is, where do we want to go? And then, and only then, can we determine what is the best way to get there. So, you know, it's crazy in my books, and forgive me for saying it that openly and that, but that's how I feel. It's crazy in my books if I've got Joe Blow that comes to me as an investment strategist, and Joe Blow says, okay, look, I've been at the latest barbecue. My friends or my accountant tells me I need to get an investment property. Okay, fine. Joe, sit down. So as a normal person, as a normal buyer's advocate, as a normal, forgive me, guys, I know you said you are in real estate as well. I go to my stock list. I pick the best property that I can pick, and I go, hey, Joe, this is you. Wrong. Where's Joe at? What's his disposable income? Where does he want to go?
This is so
Then
good
we
to
can
hear.
look at
Okay.
what fits best with him.
Yep.
We do properties from 5. I can do an 8% easily. Government backed, 5-year lease, la. But, you know, does that fit with Joe?
Yeah.
Is Joe a person that can take a 5% easily? What's his risk tolerance? What's his window of opportunity? Has he got kids? How secure is his job? What's the likelihood of him being sued?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's too many things to just go to a stock list and say, here, this is you.
And it's so true, and there's so many property spruikers out there that whilst their strategies might be amazing and it might be the right fit for some people, being sold as a like one size fits all thing is never sat right with me. And this is why it's really nice to hear what you're saying, because I think it's the most important thing to actually ask yourself is like, where do I want to be? Where am I now? And how am I going to get there?
And you want to know the bonus point, number 4?
Yeah. I love a good bonus point.
Talking through that, we come up with a strategy. And number 4 is, do you really want to do what it takes to do what you say you want to do?
Ooh.
Because I'll give you, for instance, sorry?
Yeah, well, no, just that was a ooh, as in like that is good, because you're right. Who cares if you've got this perfect strategy if you're not willing to actually do what it takes?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't
Bingo.
know what it takes.
Yeah.
Bingo. You know, I've got the young'uns, 25-year-olds, come to me and say, oh, look, we want to get our first investment property. And some do it really, really well. I've got one of our star performers, he does rent vesting. All right, came to us 4 years ago. He's an accountant, by the way, and I'm not going to name names. So anyway, so he understood that he wanted to live in the city of Melbourne, which is expensive, where the rental yield is 2.5-3%. So from an investment point of view, that's the massive negative gear.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't want to do that, but he wanted an asset that builds his asset base. So we did an investment, and we were able to get him 6% rental yield, and he's up 100,000 after 3.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, rent vesting makes sense. But then there's the flip side of the coin. I've got 25-year-olds that come to me and say, oh, we want to get into investment property. Ah, great. Where are you at? Well, I've got $5,000 deposit. Great. So what we need to do first is set up a savings plan so that you can come up with a decent deposit, and we deliver solutions, not problems. So, okay, if you say you've got $5,000. And if you say you want to get a investment property, well, the first step is you need to establish a savings plan. What's your income? What's the other half's income? If there is another half, what's your expenses? You're spending $300 on takeaway. Well,
I'm glad you didn't
here
say
comes
smashed
question number
avocado.
4. Here comes question number 4. Are you willing to forgo the $300 worth in takeaway if what you've said is so important to you? And now all of a sudden we are aligning desire with long-term goals. And you know, I mean, there's a whole lot more to this than meets the eye. And very few people think about this. And hence I say very few people tackle it the right way. Sorry to say.
Do you think more of your role actually does revolve around that side of things, like the mindset and the really like, how is this actually going to impact your life and are you prepared to do it, instead of the actual strategy itself? Because I'd imagine that
more coaching, a bit more mentoring.
Yeah.
I'll give you a very short answer to that. There is a reason why 76% of our clients are return clients. We've got guys that have been with us for 13, 14 years. We've got families that are over 10, 12, 13 property. It is all about, do you look at, I flog you a property, or do you look at, forgive me for my pun, at becoming a property friend?
Yes.
If you get into our team, I want you to be friends for life. I want us to be friends for life. I say it like Lindsay Fox. I only do business with friends.
So I guess
everybody tells you don't do business with friends, but that's the way to do it. Sorry.
I guess that goes to show that people are getting value out of your service.
Why would you engage me when you don't get value?
Yeah.
That's another thing. You know, we declare our fee for service quite open. You can have it separate to the deal. That way I can look you in the eye and say, hey, Todd, hey, Jake, you pay what I pay. We've done it for 16 years that way. The only reason why we are now offering a second solution is because most banks have a challenge rolling our fee into the value of the loan. But the real big point is, if I leave our fee for service out of the house and land, and we only do off the plan house and land, and we can get to why we do that if you want to, then if I leave our fee out as a valuer, you would know the value by default is the contract value.
Yeah.
So I underquote the market price, and that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So you've laid out strategy a little bit. Can I maybe pick your brains on, when you are investing in a market, what kind of key indicators would you look for to recognize that market would be a good place to invest?
You want the secret to our 17 years of success. Look, everybody has been very giving, and I want to do the same.
Yeah.
I'll give you 3 strong points. The first one is research. The second one is research. The third one is research. So, but not just on the internet. See, this is where these galas, sorry, but I get very fired up about this stuff. This is where these galas go wrong. When I hear people, I can get you a deal anywhere on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. You must be a much better person than I am, because I can't get the whole East Coast in my head. And if I want to cut the best deal for my team, then I need to know the market at least as well as the local real estate agent.
Yeah, I can't agree
You
more.
do that by researching, but you have to be on location. You got to touch it, feel it, smell it.
Yep.
You want to know my absolute best source of information when I go somewhere remote. The old lady in the tourist information center.
Okay.
Because she will tell me, 5 years ago, so-and-so street got flooded. And, don't go into that part of town, because that's where the roughnecks live.
Yeah.
That's stuff that you can't get on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's key, like you need to get on the ground and speak to multiple different people and kind of paint a picture of little bits and pieces that they all kind of...
Absolutely, and not only once.
Yeah.
Look, we generally go to locations 3 to 5 times before we hit it. I've just been in Goulburn, right? Looked good, smelled good, research told me, yeah, everything is good. Found a great, competent partner in a builder that does very interesting things. So, okay, I blow $1,000, I fly there. I live in Melbourne, I go to Sydney, hire a car, boom, boom, boom. And now I do the research that you cannot do online. I talk to the people. I talk to the people in the coffee shop that serves me. I talk to real estate agents. I talk to developers. Now I get the feeling for what's in the pipeline. And no research will tell you that.
Yeah. No.
When you do the research online.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
You've got to touch it, feel it, smell it.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, in this day and age, but in this market right now, we seem to be definitely restricted on touching. Probably shouldn't be smelling or feeling, but but otherwise, any other day of the week, normally, like I think Jack and I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's the way to go, because unless you're on the ground, you're not going to know those little fine details that can be the difference between an amazing deal and then finding out later why you got it so cheap and it's not really an amazing deal.
Unless you have a network of great people, and that's where 17 years of playing the game comes very, very handy, my friends.
I like it. I like that. Well, can you talk us through how you use that network of people and mitigating risk in your property portfolios, like when you're building them either for yourself or for clients?
Sure. The first thing is we only work with SAPs, Strategic Alliance Partners. The hardest thing is to establish a new relationship. The hardest thing for us as investors is when I buy a piece of land of a developer, the developer is telling me, oh, this will be a great golf course, la, 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 la. Been there, done that. 5 years later, the golf course is canned. So you've bought with the impression, with the understanding that there's going to be a golf course. Bang. So, that's where long-term relationships already come to play. Which developers do I trust? Which don't I trust?
Okay.
And there ain't that many in the game, right? If you do it for 17 years, you work out who is playing the game right and who is just in it for the big buck, for the quick buck. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the builder. We tend to work with medium-sized companies where the owner still has a stake in the game. Where I as a deal maker, want to talk to the owner. Forgive me for saying so, but I don't want to talk to a salesperson at Landley because I can't do a deal there, and the salesperson is not going to be there in the next 3 years, and the salesperson can't make a decision. I'm a deal maker. I want to make deals. And if we have a challenge, and a house and land package is a complex thing, invariably there's something that goes wrong. Yes, I have my contract in the bottom drawer of my desk, and yes, that is a detailed contract, and yes, that has got special clauses in special conditions that advantage us as the property friends investor. But ultimately, it goes back to relationships. So if we can look each other in the eye and we say, okay, well, bloomin' hell, we've got a hiccup here, we can do two things. We can go to the contract and invoke the lawyers, or we can sit together and we can do that online too, through a video conference or whatever, and say, look, okay, how are we going to fix this? This is why I love working with strategic alliance partners, because you get to know each other, you get to trust each other, and you can fix things in the background and then come back to your client and say, look, dear client, there was a hiccup and here is the solution, rather than there is a hiccup and here is a problem.
So do you find then, because what I'm really hearing is the way that you're mitigating risk is through building really detailed relationships. It's not about just detail in the area. It's about detail in knowing the actual people you do business with. Like you just said before, the old Lindsay Fox, only do business with friends. And if you're taking it from that perspective, one of the things that I just wanted to ask, because Jack and I really made a promise with each other that we wouldn't take a bias when we started this show. It was all about if we like it or not or whatever it is, like let's actually just get everyone's opinion. And I can't help but think that we have had a few people that have said, no, in a house and land package, it didn't work for us and we lost money. Like when you're going to all of this effort to really sort of detail down on the area, detail down on the relationship. You're putting in so much to make sure you're doing the right thing by your clients. What is it that you think makes the wheels fall off for so many other people when they are doing the house and land investing?
Very, very simple. Churn and burn, no personal investment into the deal, and short-term focus. Look, we have a very simple benchmark. I'm a simple bloke. Simple KISS works best for me. Our benchmark is, if it ain't good enough for my wife and myself, nobody's going to hear about it.
Okay.
End of story.
So you're like Richard Branson, until I can fly my children into space, no one else is going in there.
Exactly. Why would I give you two a deal that I wouldn't do myself? And again, call me an old fart, but you got to know what you stand for. Ultimately, I want to go to my bed, put my head on my pillow, and say, I have done the best that I can do. Yep. And I'll give you another side to the coin, another side to the story. When you talk about mitigating risk, if I'm a single buyer, and let's say for argument's sake, the builder has mucked up and there's the PowerPoint hanging out of the wall, and of course, as a normal buyer under the normal contract, I've done my final payment. I've got Buckley's getting the builder back to fix that. Because the builder is on the next job, and he or she doesn't want to come back for some irky little thing. Well, for starters, you put a different special condition into the contract that your final payment is only due once the punch list of the building inspector has been rectified. That's point one. But two, and here comes the big one. Now, you two are builders now. We have done a deal. You have completed a set of 3 to 5 houses. On one of the houses, the tradie has stuffed up. That's a technical term. And has forgotten something. Something went wrong. Now, here comes leverage into play. I go to you, look, mate, there's a problem. We need to fix it. And can you please fix it this week? Because it's irksome. And if you don't fix it this week, we were going to do another set of 5 properties. By the way, are you interested in that?
So you're talking
leverage.
Leveraging a relationship through sort of dangling the carrot almost.
Mate, it's all about relationships. I'm not into flogging a property. I'm not into screwing a builder. I'm not getting into getting the absolute best out of the developer for sticking another $3,000 in my pocket. If I can get the right land at the right location, and here comes something crazy. We often have millions of dollars worth of land on hold. And I don't do put and calls. I look you in the eye, we shake hands, and ultimately we may have a put and call, but that's only for the first 2 or 3 sets. Yeah. Then after the first 2 or 3 sets, we know whether we're both playing ball.
Doing business.
And if we do, then that's worth more than a put and call that I can take to task to the lawyer and some sort of weasel way out.
What you're saying there makes perfect sense, because it's the relationship that's so important as well, but not for that little short-term potential gain.
Yeah, the long-term, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of.
I get asked that all the time when someone wants to buy a house, and then I'll sit down with them and we'll talk about their house sale, and if we list their house, I'll be like, oh, look, can you get the vendor down more now? And I'm like, okay, so let's just run through that scenario for a second. Let me say I start working that vendor down, my vendor, and now let's fast forward like 3 weeks to a month, whatever, and I'm sitting in someone else's lounge room selling them your house, and they ask me that same question. If I take you up on that deal and I start trying to work my vendor down, how are you ever going to trust me? Because if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you. Exactly.
A very good friend of mine is a realtor in Geraldton, in north of 400 kilometers north of Perth. That town is a basket case at the moment, which is a great buying opportunity. If
I thought that was a bad thing.
Well, it depends. How do you look at things? What's your strategy? But where I was going with this is, he is the most successful realtor in town. Why? Because he is now serving the kids of the people that he sold property 15 years ago. Now, how can that be? Because he is doing exactly, and because he's got the right relationship. You know, we can look at property investing as a sequence of events clinically, and yes, that works. And there is strategy, and we can clinically and mathematically. Hey, I've got the models as well, right? I can bamboozle you with facts and figures. I don't want to do that. One, you're not going to get what I'm talking about. Two, I don't know whether I want to work with you. And if we can't work together, then I don't want to do it. Because it's too hard. It's too hard for you. We're not going to get to a successful outcome for you, and it's too hard for me. I don't want to fight. I want to have fun.
Absolutely. I agree.
Couldn't agree more. So if you could sit down in front of 20-year-old Uwe with some investment advice in the current property market, what would that be and why?
Okay. Do I really want to go back to that stage? No, I don't. But anyway, that's a whole different question. Do more faster, including failing faster.
Yeah.
And here comes the big one. Get your ego out of the way. Listen to mentors. Have a mastermind. Have a mentor mind. So be teachable.
Yeah.
The only thing better than a mastermind group is 2 mastermind groups. I've been in 2 mastermind groups for over 6 years. We meet weekly, online. Yeah. One set of the guys is sitting in the US. Why would I not get the input? What's the old statement? You can't fix a problem with the same thing, with the same way of thinking that got you there in the first place.
Yeah.
I need to have great people around me. I need to take their input. I need to consider it, and I need to get my ego out of the way.
Brilliant.
And then it comes down to one other thing. Here comes, I love these sayings. I'll give you another one. The game ain't over until I win.
That sounds like something that like Cuba Gooding Jr. would like yell in like Jerry Maguire or something.
Well, I love it.
Look,
I say to my daughters, there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than I am, but there are very, very, very few that beat me on persistence and consistency.
Mm-hmm. What's that other one? The persistence will always beat resistance.
Yeah,
I think it's very true, and I think it's something that a lot of people, coming back to what you were saying beforehand about this is where you are, this is where you want to be, and this is what you need to do to get there. But then the magical number 4, do you have the persistence and the commitment to actually get there?
And for example, I often strike people that have these great plans, and we work out, okay, this is where you're at, this is where you want to go, so that means you need to work 25 hours a day and save $3,000 a week. Is that really what you want to do? And then I get this blank look, and they go, what do you mean 25 hours a day? And I go, well, what do you do in your lunch break? You know, I mean, I'm being silly about it, but you get what I'm saying.
Of course. But speaking about lunch breaks, though, I've actually just looked down at the clock and realized that we've taken too much of your time right now. We've gone over what we were promised. And then also, I think pretty sure Jack's actually got to get to another meeting after this. So can we actually stay on the topic of food for 2 seconds and ask you arguably the most important question out of everything we've been talking about? Uwe Jacobs, what is your favorite pizza?
Well, for starters, I'm a foodie. That is very, very simple to answer. And that pizza is a rustica, and you're not going to know what that means. This pizza is only delivered in 2 places in the world. One is a very little restaurant in Solingen in Germany, the town where I come from. It's not even on the menu. Only the insiders know it. The only other place is my home. And it took me 3 years to work out how to get a crusty lid on a pizza.
Talk us through this, because you've just kind of blown this wide open. Most people just go, oh, yeah, Supreme or chicken and camembert, and like, it's something a little bit different. But you've really gone different here. What is this pizza?
It is a normal pizza dough with effectively the lard.
Okay.
But then we take, and oh man, this is 3 years secret squirrels. Anyway, we take a lasagna sheet. We soften it in hot water.
Yeah.
and we put that on as a lid. Then we put a nice tomato spicy sauce. I like it a bit spicy, and put that on the lasagna sheet, a bit of cheese on top. Now, what that does is it makes a very crusty lid. It seals the pizza around, so you've got the most juicy pizza.
Sounds like a pie.
Yeah.
Pizza pie.
Yeah, but it's a pizza. You know, I'm drooling as we speak.
Either we're gonna have to make a trip to Germany, or next time next time we're in Melbourne, we'll
A trip to your place might be easier.
Give you a ring and
Let's do that. That'll be fun.
That would be fun. I'd very much enjoy that because I've never heard of this kind of pizza. And as much as there's some things I'm very habitual on, I like to stay in my routine. Otherwise, I'm an early adopter and innovator, and you've just absolutely piqued my interest of let's try this new thing.
And you need to do it either in a wood fire or over coals.
Wood fire over coals. Okay. All right. Very cool. Well, Uwe, look, thank you very much for coming on the show, mate. We really appreciate your time. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, if they want to join Property Friends, whereabouts do they find you? Can you give us a little bit more information about yourself?
Sure. The easiest way is on our website. So that's the W's, Property Friends, with a plural S, propertyfriends.com.au. At the bottom of each of our pages on the website, there is a little plug-in, a little window comes up. You can book in for a free discovery session, half an hour. It's linked to my calendar. That's all good.
Cool.
So that's the easiest way. But what I would like to share with your listeners, we've done a lot of. See, the biggest problem at the moment is the uncertainty. So we've done a lot of briefing sessions where we get a panel of experts. On Tuesday the 14th at 7 p.m., we've got 8 industry experts there online, and we just go through a rapid-fire Q&A session. So if your audience is interested in that, hop on our Facebook page, Property Friends again. You will see the previous recordings. And if you've got any questions, we'll have an accountant, a mortgage broker, an insurance broker. We'll have everything that you need. There's 8 industry experts. We have the national chair of First National on that panel.
Very cool. That's
Might
awesome.
have to go back and have a look at those.
Yeah.
And I think I'll be there on next. Is it next Tuesday night, the 14th?
Tuesday the 14th at 7 p.m.
Brilliant. I'll be there. That sounds good.
I can possibly do that. Now that I'm not allowed to do opens, I'm doing a million private inspections every day. So I might not be attending, but if I've got the time, I'm there.
I'd love you guys to be there. It'll be interesting. It'd be a hoot.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, thanks again for coming on the show there, Uwe. We better wrap things up and let you get back to what you're doing as well. Really appreciate your time, mate.
Thanks very much.
We appreciate it. Cheers.
Bye.
Oh, Todd, how did you find that?
I liked that. I just love listening to Uwe. He's a bundle of knowledge, a bundle of energy, and just like all around.
Bit of character.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
He was good fun. And that pizza, like, whoa, I don't want to harp on this because I felt like as he said it, he was like, I shouldn't be telling you this. Like, I want to try that though. That sounds so cool.
Just let the cat out the bag, and I didn't mean to.
Oh yeah. What was your biggest takeaway, Jack?
I was going to say the pizza, but
I'm taking that now.
Yeah.
Well, on the property side. So, all right, what was my biggest property takeaway? You know what? I think it just comes back to doing your research, but not only just into areas, but doing the research into who you're actually doing business with as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that could even go down onto that micro level just for the average punter. Is do your research into the agent that you're dealing with, into the conveyancer that you're dealing with, into everyone that's actually involved in the transaction. You don't have to be this huge time property investor to find the details.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. I think probably my biggest takeaway was he laid it all out on the table. He doesn't find the person for the property, he finds the property for the person. So he needs to know what his client's income is, what their risk acceptance is.
The goals where they're trying to get to as well.
End goal.
And like you said, number 4. Do you remember that one? Are you actually prepared to do what it takes?
Yeah. No, that was definitely my biggest takeaway. Let us know what you thought, guys, in the comments.
As always, like, subscribe, share, do whatever you guys do best. And
check out the YouTube channel.
Yes, actually, we've been putting the podcast up now on YouTube.
Yeah, a couple just snippets, but we're going to be putting the full ones up on YouTube as well. So
awesome, guys. And if there's anything that you really want specifically around this this current time right now with the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever we're calling it, we did have a really good chat with Chris Gray a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
But I almost feel like that chat's null and void now. Like nothing to do with Chris. That was awesome, but it's just stuff's changing so rapidly.
Whether it be the landlord-tenant thing or I don't know how this is going to impact
pausing
the market.
Pausing mortgages. I'm hearing so much different stuff. Some people are going, yeah, it's still affecting your credit rating. Other people are going, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. And I've even heard that from a mortgage broker who's saying, yes, it is affecting your credit rating 100%. I just had a meeting about that today. Then I'll talk to another one that'll go, no, that's bollocks. It's not true. And I'm like, I just don't know which one to believe.
Yeah, grey area as well. Are you able to pause the mortgage if you're still getting an income but the property just goes vacant?
I think we've just asked everyone what they want to hear and then just actually created it ourselves. Like that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're going to get to work on this. You guys have a fantastic week. Stay safe, stay solo, and take care of yourselves.
Cheers, bro.